Hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining me for this week's Everyday Magic video. And I want to spend this video talking about your birth chart and how there's a lot to be learned from your birth chart. Now in the video, you'll see me doing my weekly tarot spreads for the second week of March. I think this is, I'm not sure. I got my birth chart years ago, and I didn't really know much about like placements and like houses or anything like that. And so I just got my birth chart, and then I didn't really do anything with it. Although I would see a post online that said, "Oh, look at this placement. If it's this, then it means that." And I would slowly start to like piece things together based off of that. And it wasn't until very recently that I really started to put things together and make sense out of what I was learning. So if you are someone who has their birth chart and hasn't done anything with it, this video is going to be for you. I want to talk about everyone knows, if you're into astrology even marginally, the big three, which is your sun, moon, and rising sign. And they're important. They're all important for different reasons. But I have my own personal big three for someone who has their birth chart, doesn't really know what any of this stuff means, and wants to start to learn what it means. To me, these three placements are the more fun ones. I'll say that. I feel like it's easier to learn about something if it's useful in some way, or if it's like interesting to learn about. And I'm not saying that any placements aren't important or interesting or worth knowing. I'm just saying that this is a good starting point. And to me, these are the ones that I find the most fun to look at. Before I get into that, I saw this quote that someone said that they shared from an astrologer that they had reading their chart. And they said, "Your birth chart is the blueprint of the hand you were dealt at birth. It's not necessarily who you are. It's just the cards that you were dealt." And I love that. Make a note of that. This isn't about, your birth chart isn't telling you who you are. It's telling you what this guy looked like when you were born. And it offers a little bit of guidance on what that might mean for how your life looks. But ultimately, the decisions that you make and the interactions that you have with the world will absolutely be the thing that shapes who you are as a person, not the stars you were born under. That being said, we are going to start with your rising sign. That is one of the big three, the traditional big three. And I feel like it's important to know. Now, I will say in my chart, I'm an Aries rising. And for me, that, funnily enough, explains why people have often said to me that I look mean, or that I look sad or angry or whatever. And it's literally because I'm an Aries rising. And it was really funny to me when I finally looked at my birth chart and finally started understanding what it was and what all of the things meant. And that one made me laugh, because I was like, my mean face that everyone always comments on is literally right there in my birth chart. It also influences the fact that I walk fast, talk fast, do everything fast, and I'm so very much always in that mode of, let me just get it done. And if nobody's going to help me, I'll do it myself. That's very much Aries. And my chart ruler, because I'm an Aries rising, is Mars, which is, again, an explanation for the little bit of a temper that I have had. the temper isn't gone. I'm just more adept at managing it. And I think part of it was learning about my chart being ruled by Mars, and that I do have a tendency towards that anger. Like I said, the more you learn about your chart, the more you learn about yourself, and the more that you learn how to deal with it and handle what comes up. The rising sign also will offer an explanation for the way that you naturally interact with the physical world. And this isn't like you doing something into the world. This is about how the world responds to you, like how you're perceived by others. Like I said, I have that RBF, and people often do put the idea on me that I'm angry or that I'm mean. And you all have heard me talk about myself more than enough to know that that is completely the opposite of who I am. And it also, your rising sign is also a representation of the expectations that others will place on you. Again, that perception, it's really heavily tied into. And so while most people would say that your rising sign is, your personality, I would say that it's more the perception of who you are and not actually who you are. This is more, the rising sign is basically what people expect you to be, who they assume that you are, and it really doesn't have much to do with your actual personality. To a certain extent, everybody's different, and, based on the other placements they have in their chart, it's all gonna flow from there. But in my personal experience, while I do have a tendency to be a little bit of a hothead, I would say that the way that people respond to me and the expectations of how they expect me to, what they expect my personality to be, it doesn't really align with the truth. And the next placement that I feel like is important to know is your Jupiter. Jupiter is a planet of expansion. It's considered a lucky planet. And so wherever you have your Jupiter, whatever sign, whatever house, that's going to point to where you can find blessings, abundance, growth, and wisdom. And it's just where things will flow a little more naturally for you. And this is where I would say to look if you feel like you're stuck, or if you feel like there's no progress being made in your life, or things are not moving the way that you want them to move, and you feel like there's a blockage. Take a look at your Jupiter sign, and chances are, if you feel like you're not moving forward, it's because you are acting in the opposite energy of your Jupiter sign. This personally has played out in my own life, and again, that's basically why I say it's important to look at your Jupiter sign. And not only that, but it is good just to know, like, if you need something to work out for you, this is the energy to lean into. And especially if it's in a sign or an area in a house that you don't normally particularly resonate with. Like, personally, I don't resonate with air energy. I have like one air sign placement in my whole chart, and the rest is earth and fire. I think I have one air placement and one water placement. Everything else is earth and fire. And so personally, I don't resonate very well with air sign energy. Anyway, what I'm saying is find your Jupiter sign and find out ways that you can embody that energy to bring in more abundance. And that's why I don't really get why that's not one that people bring up often. And it's not one that people tend to think about a lot. Because like I said, they focus on the main big three. And those are great for self-discovery, but sometimes you just need to know how to make money and how to make stuff happen for yourself. And I'm all about supporting people finding their way. And if that is what they need, then that's what they need. And that leads into my final big three, which is technically two signs, but it's two in one because they connect to each other. That is the North and South Node. So your North Node is your destined path. It's the direction you're meant to travel in. And your South Node is basically the wounds that you're carrying from your past lives. And it's things that you need to work on in order to achieve or align yourself with the North Node, which is why I put them together, because you can't have one without the other. Like, you can't solely focus on the North Node and think that you're going to get the things that you want if you don't do the work first. And so that's the South Node. And they have to go together in my mind, so they count as one. But yeah, like my North and South Node are Pisces and Virgo, which is amazing because I'm a Virgo sun. And I will say that my life is perpetually a battle against my Virgo tendencies. And so that is where I spend a lot of my time. And I have spent a lot of my time. I've worked on it a lot on the channel, my perfectionism and embracing, letting things be what they are, as they are. Case in point, this whole channel is a testament to the fact that I have done a lot of work when it comes to perfectionism. A lot of my videos are, 5-star quality in my mind, but I am still nonetheless proud of them because I made them. You have your birth chart. This week's homework assignment is look at your rising sign. Look at the house not the house, it's the first house if it's your rising sign. But look at your rising sign, your Jupiter, and your North and South Node. What signs are they in? What houses are they in? And find out what those things mean. And to take it a step further, what do those things mean to you? Like, how do you interpret them? Don't just take other people's words for it, because you know yourself better than anyone. You know your story better than anyone. So you will be able to apply the things that are coming through in a way that makes sense. That is what I have for this week's Everyday Magic. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. Hopefully you actually do decide to take a dive into your birth chart a little bit, or at least dip a toe into the waters of your birth chart. And as I always say at the end of these videos, thank you so much for sitting with me. I hope that you have a wonderful weekend. I hope that you are well, and I hope that you will continue to be kind to yourselves and to one another.